Good morning, America. Okay, yeah. When I say good morning, America, I feel like I'm violating somebody's copyright. Anyways, 5:27 a.m. and I just wrapped up teaching 3 hours. 3 hours. So I taught from 2:30 a.m. to 5:30 this morning, and just wrapped up. And so I just had a quick thought for today. And the last time I said I had something that wouldn't go that long, I went for 50 minutes. So hopefully we'll go shorter than that, but we'll see. So I noticed today, in my title, the title of this message or the title of this video is People Need to Be Noticed. And so I think that that's along the lines of the same idea that Stephen R. Covey talked about, which was seek first to understand, then to be understood. Um, and I think that in today's society, like, attention is a valuable commodity, and we know from the law of attraction and from maybe metaphysics that, or first principles, that what we pay attention to gets bigger. So if I pay attention to what I fear, then my fears grow, and because that's what I'm looking at. But if I pay attention to God, or to something pleasant, or to the truth, or to a friend, then they get bigger in my consciousness. And we also know that what gets bigger, what gets bigger in our minds, what consumes our thoughts, becomes our reality. It becomes what we use to refer to everything else. It becomes our center. It becomes our God. And but I digress. I was teaching. So when I finished teaching just now, I noticed that I thought I noticed that one of my students needed to be noticed, or at least I had actually what it was is I had the unction that my student needed to be noticed. And so the easiest way I know to show people that I notice them is to use their name, and to use it repeatedly. Now, in our culture, at least in American culture that I've experienced, people have a fear of being dumb, or a fear of being seen as unintelligent or forgetful. But that, I'm a professional educator. I have a Master of Arts in teaching English. So I have a relatively good knowledge of how the human mind works and how the memory works. And so one way that people remember things is through something called spaced memory repetition. And what it means is that the first time we're exposed to a piece of information or knowledge that we need to remember, we'll remember it for something like 3 to 5 minutes. We'll remember it for a short amount of time. And then we need to be reminded of it again, or we need to attempt to remember it again right before we're going to forget it. And then after we recall it the first time at the right time, then we'll remember it longer. And then let's say that that's about 7 to 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but it's something like the lengths get longer and longer. So if I remember it the first time at 3 or 5 minutes, and I remember it the second time at maybe 5 or 10 minutes, then each time I recall it right before I'm going to forget it, then I'll remember it longer and longer. And so the problem with I've heard so many people say that they're not good at remembering names, but that's a lie. They're not good at using their memory because they don't know how it works. And so all of us can become very good at remembering someone's name if we're willing to let go of our dignity and and I mean, you may not want to push it this far, but I like, I really want to remember people's names. For me, it's really important to remember people's names and to go out of my way to notice them, because like Jesus said that if you want to be great, then you must be the servant of all. And so that's what I want. I want to be the servant of all. And I can't serve everybody all the time, but I can serve a lot of people some of the time, or a few people some of the time. And the way I can serve someone or minister to someone, I mean, goodness, like, I think a lot of the times, like, ministry or blessing someone or just showing someone that they matter, that they're valuable, is by valuing them, by taking the effort, humbling oneself, humbling myself enough to admit, hey, I forgot your name. What's your name again? And so what I do, and you may or may not like this, but what I do is I ask the person's name until I remember it. And so I try to remember it. So I'll ask for a person's name, we'll chat for a minute or two, and then maybe I'll try to say their name again. Maybe I'll get it right, maybe I'll get it wrong. If I get it right, hooray. If I get it wrong, then I get corrected and I use it again. And then we talk for a little while longer and I try to use it again. And so I think that, I mean, like, I think that the important thing is the willingness, the heart to try. And since I know how the memory works to some extent, and I want to bless people. I want people to feel a little better, to feel a bit more valued, after having talked with me, after having met me. I want people to feel blessed by my presence. It's like, I mean, ostracism hurts, rejection hurts, and I like to be liked, and I know I can't be liked by everyone. And I mean, for me personally, with my personality, I get a particular kick out of doing what I can to try to win people over when I meet them, whether it's like cracking a joke or getting to understand them, or listening closely to them, or even just something as simple as remembering their name, or at least, and it, I mean, honestly, it doesn't even have to go as far as remembering their name, just using their name. I mean, if it's like a quick interaction, for me, something I do, at least I try to, is like if I'm in a supermarket or I'm at a restaurant or I go to In-N-Out Hamburger, if I go to a place where they have name tags, then I try to use their name. I remember the quote that went something like, a person's name is the sexiest word they know or that they'll hear. And so when I'm speaking with people using their name, I think it goes some distance to meeting people's need to be noticed. Because I think what happens is, at least in Western society, Western society, that I've noticed, it worships efficiency. And this is a philosophical product of the Industrial Revolution, because in the Industrial Revolution, the priority became keeping the machines going. And so in management theory at the time, they took the view that a human was basically a cog in a machine, and they treated them like that. And so while the Industrial Revolution was good for humanity in the sense of building a middle class, lifting a lot of people out of poverty, it wasn't good in that people took a dim view of human nature. And so I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but like we get from people what we expect from them. And you may, like some employers or teachers may complain about their employees or their students, and they may call them lazy or something like that. But let me tell you something. The reason, like if you're a leader or if you're a manager, and I notice I have something like 5,000 hours of teaching experience, and that's part of that is managing people, leading people, and this is 4-year-olds to 60-year-olds. You get from people what you expect from them. You get from people what you fundamentally believe about them. So if you fundamentally believe that they are not capable of taking care of themselves, or that they're lazy, or they're dumb, or some other belief about them, what you believe about them will become the product you give to them and how you communicate with them. And this is true. It doesn't matter. You can't fake it. You can't hide it. What you believe about people will come across. And so what I've at least attempted to do is I've attempted to become aware of what I believe about people. And here's the thing. What I believe about myself is usually what I believe about people. What you believe about yourself is usually what you believe about people. So if you believe you're lazy and you're constantly striving against the dissonant belief that you're lazy, and you're constantly trying to prove that you're a hard worker, or you go to the other extreme where you believe you're lazy and so you don't even try. Whatever you believe about yourself, so if you believe you're lazy, you will believe other people are lazy. You can't undo that lens, because how you see yourself is how you see other people. How you treat yourself is how you treat other people. If you believe, and so for instance, I remember I thought, I believed for over 30 years maybe, that I was a lazy person, and it was a lie. And I remember one day I was in a train going into Seoul, Korea, from where I lived in Korea, and I was listening to a book. I think it might have been like Getting Things Done, or some book about kind of like overcoming procrastination and improving efficiency. And I never finished the book because I got everything I needed right in the beginning. And as I was listening to the book, the author talked about, he went through this series of thoughts, and then he said something that pierced me, that cut something in me in a really good way. He said, "You're not lazy." And when he said that, it struck me, and I realized that I had been believing that I was lazy. But when he said that, it broke through, and I realized I'm not actually lazy. I thought I was lazy, so I had a false belief about myself, but I'm actually not. And so when my belief about myself changed, then my treatment of my students changed, because all of a sudden I realized, oh, well, they want to work. And if I know that they want to work hard to achieve something meaningful in my classroom, for instance, to learn English, or to perform well, to improve their pronunciation, to be better at teamwork, whatever it might be, to be a better critical thinker. If I believe that they want to work hard on that, then my belief about myself will come out in how I treat them, because I will believe that they will, of course, they're like me, they want to work hard. And the truth is, and this is the, I mean, and I'm going off on another tangent, but the truth is, and the cool thing is that whatever I believe about people will be what I get back from them. If I believe that my students want to learn, then I will treat them like they want to learn. If I believe that my students want to work hard, then I will treat them like they want to work hard. If I trust myself and I trust that I want the best for people, and I can learn how to, and I can do my best to treat people in a way that helps them, that affects them, AFECTS, affect, emotion. If I can treat them in a way that affects them positively, that affirms them, that values them, they will. So if I treat them in these ways, because I believe that about myself, then they will treat me like that. That's what I'll get back from them. And so, so coming back to names, if people need to be noticed, and people need attention, but you can't pay attention to somebody unless you first notice them. And I think one of the best ways to notice someone is to use their name. Another way to notice people is to look at them, to look at them. Like right now, I'm looking at the camera, and that's because I want you to feel a connection with me. I don't know your name, but I care about you. I want the best for you. I'm trying to give you some wisdom or some knowledge that's been given to me to make your life better, to make you more effective, to bring you closer to reality so that you can succeed, and so that what you want can come to pass. And it's very difficult if not, I mean, I guess there are people who do it, maybe they do it, but it's very difficult to become successful, to feel good about oneself, if we do not act in a way that is in accordance or in alignment with who we are fundamentally, and really to push it to the highest level, who God made us to be. If we believe God is good and we came from God, then we are good. And if I am good and you are good, then if we choose to believe that, and we learn to fundamentally believe that, and we do what we can to dump regret and shame and worthlessness, as I have addressed in previous videos, then we can come to a place where we actually not only mentally affirm to ourselves, yes, I'm good, I'm good enough. We also come to treat others that way. And I know I want to be noticed. I want to be respected. I want to be valued. And but first I must learn, I mean, in a kind of mechanical, sequential way, I must first learn to do that for myself. I must first learn to notice myself. I must first learn to pay attention to myself, and to respect myself, and to give myself what I need and want, or at least notice it and ask God or the universe or other people for it. And so, for instance, like my name is Levi Matthias Johnson, and I know my name. I've had it for 38 years. But that's not my only name. One of my other names is Adventurous. I have a strong streak of adventurous personality. Another name that I have is professor or philosopher. I derive joy from using words to teach and help other people, and to put things into words that will help people and help me, move forward in life. And, because if I learn something, I don't get to keep it unless I give it away, unless I give it to you. And so when I identify myself, which is learning my name and learning my names, learning the names of the pillars of my personality, and in accordance with God, valuing that, paying attention to that, investing in that, reading books about that, spending time with people. When I do that, then I'm learning my own name. I'm learning my own names. And as I learn my own names, I'm demonstrating to myself that I'm valuable. So another way to learn a name is to identify what I'm feeling. Okay? And to identify what I think and to name it, to put a word to it, to identify it. To identify means to name that which exists, or to name that which is. And so one way that I can learn my name and the names of other people is like the explicit Levi or the explicit Amber for somebody else, or John or Cassie. But another way that I can learn other people's names is to name how they're feeling. So I remember, I listened to an audiobook, or kind of like a training called Nonviolent Communication. I highly recommend it if you want to increase your ability to relate to people. And so one of the biggest things I learned in that book, there was a lot of great gold nuggets in that book, but one of the things I learned in that book was how to empathize with people. And so what I'm talking about right now is a different angle on the same topic, how to empathize with people. So if I'm listening to someone, if I'm looking at them, or at least I'm giving them the body language and the openness that they need to feel safe. Okay, so that means that I'm not sometimes I might cross my arms, but that's typically only in a situation where I feel that the person really knows me, so they're not going to be put off by that. They're not going to sense that I'm judging them, that I'm open to them, that I'm not critiquing them or measuring them, but I'm simply observing who they are. Amber, I'm observing Amber, and I'm giving her a bit of a smile, and I'm looking at her, and I want her to know that nothing else on earth matters right now more than you in front of me, Amber. And when I pay attention to someone with high attention, when I give them my utter attention, when I focus on them entirely, and I tune out everything else, then I can start to sense and see their names. I can start to sense and see who they are. And they become like an open book to me. And something that's really cool about paying close attention to someone is that people are constantly giving out a ton of information about what they think and feel and believe, and how they're doing. And so if I pay close attention to them, paying a close attention to someone and reading somebody is like reading a book. If I'm reading a book, but I'm constantly distracted and I'm looking elsewhere, and I'm just kind of like glancing at the page and I'm not really stopping to focus in on each word in each sentence in the paragraph and what it means, I'm not going to get the meaning. But if I will focus on it, read each word, read each sentence, read each paragraph, completely focused on it, then it makes it a lot easier to understand what it's trying to say. But that's much the same way with people. If I would give someone my 100% of attention, then who they are and their names will start to reveal themselves to me, will start to come at me like a movie. And depending on how rested I am, how peaceful I am coming into this situation, if I'm restless, if I'm noisy on the inside, if I don't have clarity on the inside of me, it's going to be hard to have clarity about someone else. I can try, but it's hard. You know, they say, like, if you're in an airplane and the oxygen masks drop because of a lack of air pressure, put the air mask on yourself and then help somebody else. Okay. And so there's this principle of inside out. And if I first take the time in the morning or at a time that works for me to notice myself, to notice my names, not only who I am, which is good, it's a good start, but to notice the names of how I feel. Do I feel happy? Do I feel sad? Do I feel angry? And why do I feel that way? To meditate, you know, and I think that's, and when I do that for myself, when I take the time to value myself, some would call that meditation. Meditation is simply a form of deep noticing. Because, like, when we open our eyes, when we are in action, our attention is focused in some sense forward or outward. But if I will meditate or take the time to notice myself, to become mindful, to notice my names, then I can carry that mindfulness or that awareness of myself throughout the day. And it often creates a lot of peace, because the way the mind works, in my mind, the way that it works to me is like there's like the upper mind and there's the lower mind, and the lower mind is very fast, but also it requires some effort to notice it. People call it subconscious or non-conscious, but I think a lot of times what is subconscious or non-conscious is simply just I haven't taken the time to quiet myself and to notice and to avoid distractions. So if I will notice myself, then I can notice somebody else when I'm talking to them. And if I can pay attention to them 100% and exclude all of the thoughts, and you're the only one I'm looking at right now, you're the only one I'm paying attention to, and I want to hear you because I've already practiced hearing myself, then I can start to read you like a book. And then when I start to see your names, first I learn your first name, you know, Amber, John, Michael, Michelle, whatever. And then as I get that down, and then I look at you and I start to listen to your story, then your emotions and your thoughts and who you are and where you are and what you need and what you want start to come at me. And then I start to acknowledge that. And so I say, wow, like, you must feel like that must feel really frustrating, or wow, you seem angry, or wow, like, I'm so happy for you. To notice who the person is. And this is something like, I'll come back to this book, the New Personality Self Portrait Why You Think, Work, Love, and Act the Way You Do by John M. Oldham, I think. This is an excellent book, not only for understanding oneself, learning one's own names and personalities, but those of others. And I'm not sure how it might work for other people. I know that for me, when I read and when I understand personalities, then when I meet people, I can fairly quickly assess a good amount of the time what personalities they have. And if I know what personalities they have, then I can quickly, based on the reading I've done, deduce or determine what motivates them and what doesn't motivate them, and then that helps me to adapt and to respond to them. And so sometimes when I meet someone and I can tell that maybe they're adventurous, maybe they're like me, maybe they get a thrill out of risk, and so expressing to someone, wow, you must really, like, maybe they're telling me about something, like I had someone tell me about a really dangerous situation they were in the other day where they almost took a skid loader off a mountain, and to other people it might have sounded like this person was complaining, but as I was listening to them, I knew that they had adventurous in their personality. And so I responded to them a few times. That must have been really fun. And finally this person acknowledged, yeah, it was actually fun. And and so because I was able to read, because I knew my own personality and the personalities of others, I was able to read their situation and respond to them in a way that helped them feel understood. And so now we're at 32 minutes. Okay, so clearly it's not going to be a short video. So when I notice someone's name, their first name, and then the names that come to me of their emotions, their thoughts, their personality, and anything else in particular about them that is in common with me or is not in common with me. But if I can show them, I notice your names. Okay, if I can show them, I notice you, by naming what I see and doing my best to understand them. Doesn't mean I get it right 100% of the time. Sometimes, yesterday, I asked the lady 2, 3, 4, I don't know, maybe 5 times what her name was. And I think it was Cami, if I'm not mistaken. And and maybe some people would be offended by repeatedly asking, and I guess that's fine. I want to value people, but I'm not going to waste time. Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of an offensive attitude. So I think I need to check that. But I definitely don't want to throw my pearls before swine. So if someone doesn't care if I know their name, then or they respond to me in a shameful or negative way, then I'm probably just gonna go, okay, well, have a nice day. But notwithstanding, when an opportunity presents itself, noticing someone, noticing their name, trying to remember it, and then naming, and then if in conversation you and I can notice how they feel, what they think, and go at least a small distance, not codependently or to the level of enmeshment or enabling people, but to just notice them, we can meet a human need that's tangible, that's real, and that in that moment makes the world a little bit more like heaven. So I've learned this from interacting with students and interacting with people, because people are amazing, people are valuable, and people are good. So thanks so much for watching today. I hope that this lecture or what I've said today has helped you. If so, please like the video and subscribe. if you'd like to get updates and click on the bell. And I hope that you have a great day. Bye-bye.